What's up, CF students? I'm so excited to be with you guys here tonight online as we continue our series called Moment Maker. And in this series, we're taking a look at some crucial moments in Scripture and learning about the God that made those moments happen and seeing how those moments impact our lives today. And there are a couple guys who created this little brand called Apple. You ever heard of that? These two, they dropped out of college and they started this business in their garage that they could have never imagined would turn into what it is now. And in one moment, there was an idea, and the next, $1 trillion company. The moment someone took a chance and invested, their lives were changed. The moment changed everything for them and has impacted us still to this day. iPhone users, where are you at? There are moments that happen that have the ability to change everything. And tonight, I want us to look at this moment in the book of Mark where one moment, someone went from struggle to hope, from weakness to strength, and from broken to healed. And so we're going to be taking a look in Mark chapter 5. And so in Mark chapter 5, it starts by saying this. It says, a woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding. She had suffered a great deal from many doctors, and over the years she had spent everything she had to pay them, but she had gotten no better. In fact, she had gotten worse. She had heard about Jesus, and so she came behind him through the crowd and touched his robe. For she thought to herself, if I could just touch his robe, I'll be healed. And immediately the bleeding stopped, and she could feel in her body that she had been healed of her terrible condition. And Jesus, he realized at once that healing power had gone out from him. So he turned around in the crowd and he asked, Who touched my robe? And his disciples said to him, look at this crowd pressing around you. How can you ask who touched me? But he kept on looking around to see who had done it. And then this frightened woman, trembling at the realization of what had happened to her, came and fell to her knees in front of him and told him what she had done. And he said this to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over. And so this woman that we're reading about in this story, she had struggled with this issue of this bleeding issue for 12 years. 12 years. That's a really long time to deal with this issue. And this issue was more than just internal. It actually did a lot of external things to her. It isolated her because she was considered unclean. No one wanted to be around her. She was uncomfortable. She was in pain. And this woman, she was hoping that someone would have an answer for her. So she spent money on doctors and searched wherever she could to figure out what was wrong with her. But as hard as she searched, there was no answer. She couldn't find the healing. She couldn't find the hope. And what we do and who we go to in those moments matter, right? We've been in these moments where we are needing healing, where we need some hope, where we need some joy, and where we look for that matters. And there's a moment in this woman's life when everything changed. And it was when the moment maker changed everything. And I believe that God is still the moment maker, and we have the opportunity to experience the change that this woman experienced. And so tonight, I believe every student can understand healing is possible by looking to the actions of this woman in the story. And so the first thing that we can look at is that she came to a realization. She realized that after all of the looking and all of the searching, that she couldn't find the hope that she was looking for. And so she realized that there's hope in Jesus. And so this woman, everything that she had been doing to heal herself or find healing, she realized it wasn't working. And she realized that she'd been searching for the healing in all the wrong places. And so the woman had run out of options. And she was completely done searching for answers at this point. And in the culture that this woman lived in, she would have been seen as unclean, which meant she was unfit to be amongst the regular society. And so dealing with this bleeding issue and being unclean would have made life really difficult for her. But she was done even trying to find healing because she'd spent all her money. She had tried multiple doctors and it didn't work. Yet she heard of Jesus and how he performed many miracles, including healing the blind, healing the sick. And this realization that she came to is that if she could just go to Jesus and just get one touch, even if it's his robe, that she might be healed. And we see that in verse 28. For she thought to herself, if I can just touch his robe, I'll be healed. And she realizes that she just needs to touch a piece of him, even if it's just his clothes. And so how do we come to that realization today? Like, maybe you've been searching in all the wrong places for affirmation, for relief from anxiety, for strength to deal with the things that you're going through. I want to encourage you that if you're in this place, to come to the realization that Jesus can change everything. Just like this woman thought, if I just reach out to him. Maybe you just need to reach out to him. And so that's where we also see her desperation. And point number 2 is she had a deep desperation. And what I really love about this story is that this woman was so desperate. She tried everything she knew how for years. And I have to think at points, she probably believed healing would never come. That this struggle, this loneliness, this pain, this isolation, this is how life is always going to be. But still, she went to doctors, hoping that maybe someone would have an answer to the thing she had been wrestling with for so long. She was desperate. And see, I think we look at the word desperate and relate it to something bad. Like that one kid at school, right? The one kid who's so desperate for a girlfriend. The kid who slides into all the DMs, replies to every Snapchat story, and gives everyone their number. You know the kid. So when I say the woman with the issue of blood was desperate, this is the kind of desperate I mean. The kind of desperate that was willing to do what no one else would do because she didn't know much, but she knew that Jesus was the only one who could heal her. So when he came into town, she didn't care if people pushed her away. She didn't care that she was looked at as unclean. She didn't care about all the failed times of healing in the past. She didn't care that she could have got cast down. She pushed through the crowds and she reached out to him. And because of this, because she had a realization and desperation, she was able to experience a transformation. And so in one moment, this woman went from broken to healed. In one moment, she went from unclean to clean. And it took one moment to experience the transformation that she needed, that she was longing for. And so one moment changed everything. And there was nothing special about the place. It was just another city. Nothing special about the crowd. They treated her as they always did. But there was one thing that made the moment go from normal to radical, from natural to supernatural, and that was Jesus. So here's the bottom line. True healing can only be found in Jesus.